So the 18th century fabric story, it starts with basically an act of God. There is no other way to describe why I began researching this. I went to History Colorado because I needed to find an 18th century item so that I could apply to an 18th century conference. I wanted to go to this conference because I had friends who were going. So I asked the research center at History Colorado, I said, what 18th century textiles do you have? If you don't know, Colorado did not even become a state until 1870. So they're like, we have one 18th century item. It's a quilt. I show up at the research center. I brought Lori with me, and we're there to look at this quilt. And they tell me there's a second 18th century item. We didn't know about it. It didn't come up in our search because it's entered as 1783 question mark, and the question mark is not recognized as a date in the search function. It's a software error. And the only reason this dress is out is because History Colorado was doing a donor event and they wanted to show the dress to the donors. And the big boss of the archive knew about the dress because she's worked there forever. And she was like, oh, you have someone coming to look at 18th century items. They know me at the research center. Oh, Angela wanted to see that. You should show her the dress. The research center goes, what dress? All of this happens. So we get there and this dress is on the wagon. And the archivist, I don't want to say her name. I don't know if she wants to be famous, but she's like, hey, I was told you're looking for 18th century items. This doesn't come up in search. This is a dress you need to look at. So really, it can only be described as an act of God. Me being there on that day, that dress being pulled from storage on that day, and that archivist being there at that moment to speak with the research staff to be like, you have a researcher looking for this and I have it. I'm not sure what the parameters of the research center, whether that archivist is also the big boss and like she happened to say, what are you pulling? Like just the amount of coincidences that had to happen for this dress to be on a cart at the moment I was there. You get it. So anyway, later turns out the quilt is not from the 18th century. I did make a video of the quilt. I didn't end up studying it, but we spent a long time looking at it, and I had Lori with me who loves quilts. On Facebook, it has over 100,000 views, 160, and on Instagram, it has over 500,000 views. And it has like a bazillion comments. On Facebook alone, it has 47 comments, and each of those is a different quilt appraiser telling me it's not from the 18th century. The video was just me and Lori repeating the information that History Colorado had in their database, and it was all incorrect. It's not from the 18th century. But don't feel bad for History Colorado because they did basically get a free quilt appraisal out of it from 300 quilt appraisers commenting for free the probable exact date and composition of this quilt. So anyway, so we looked at this 18th century dress. I don't study the 18th century. I know goose egg about it, right? And so we're just looking at it, and I don't know anything about this fabric. And I say, okay, I'm gonna study this dress. I'm obsessed with it now. And the archivist, who is a professional genealogist who moonlights as a genealogist for DAR, which if you're not familiar with Daughters of the American Revolution, part of it involves tracing your own family history back to the revolution, aka she's good at this, told me she had attempted to trace this dress back to the East Coast and couldn't do it. She can't do it. It can't be done. So she's like, we know nothing pretty much about this. We have an alleged story about 1783. Now that's the hook for me. I'm like, we don't know anything about it. We know minimal facts about it, and it's really cool. I'm like, put me in, coach. And so History Colorado is really chill. I asked, can I research this? They say you can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else. So my goal was to figure out where this dress came from. And the way I did that is I said, we're going to see where this fabric came from. So I started by researching everything I could find about 18th century silk brocade. Now, I reached out to the obvious sources. So I reached out to two places. I reached out to Burnley and Trowbridge, which if you don't know them, they have an excellent educational channel about the 18th century making garments. And I asked them, do you have any, where I'm researching this, where should I start? Do you have any tips? And they were like, yes, check out these 2 books. And then I went to the 18th century Facebook group. Great. And I said, I'm researching this. Where should I start? And then I reached out to Colonial Williamsburg. I said, I'm researching this. Where should I start? If you are researching, this is the best way to do it. You don't ask people, will you research this for me? You say, you have already researched this. Where should I start? And they will tell you, this is the book you should buy. And it's so much easier than buying every book that they'll just tell you, oh, it's in this book. I don't know what the information is, but I know where you will locate it.